Hello, welcome to Pot of Market. We're changing it up a little bit today. So instead of doing a discussion, I'm actually going to do a conversation interview with a really, I think, friend of mine. I do see him pretty much every Saturday and Sunday. He's sort of a great person to see because he serves me coffee. That's one good reason. But he's also just a great person to talk to. I think his background is very interesting. And the person I'm describing is Adam Bergo. He's a local entrepreneur and artist. You may also know him as Seven. He's closely associated with Black Swan Espresso on Halsey Street. And I just want to quickly start off with Adam just sharing his biography to sort of orient this conversation.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Manny, for having me on Pot of Market. This is dope. I've never been into any radio station in Newark so far. Last time I was in a radio station, I feel like I was in college. So this is super cool.
Wait, were you a DJ at one point?
No, I was not. That would be dope. I wish I was a DJ. I was not a DJ. I was. I had a radio show too. I was super into sports, so I was trying to be like a sports commentator. So I used to do this sports radio show called the Scarlet Night Show, where we talked about football, basketball, and did post, pre, and halftime shows and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny.
Wait, is that when Rutgers joined the Big Ten?
No, we were still in the Big East at the time, but me and my boy Corey, we wanted to be communications majors, so we were like, all right, let's do this thing, and we did it one time, and we were like the color to the show. You know, it was pretty dope.
Like in more ways than one.
And more, yeah. I mean, yes, I was the color on the show, and also the color in people's ears as well.
Please tell me you dressed up for each one.
No, I definitely did not do that because I played sports in college, so it was different. Like most of the time, my attire was just Nike sweats, baggy as heck, and my backpack. So everywhere I went, I was just wearing baggy clothes and sweats and a pair of running sneakers. It was like my uniform.
Yeah, I mean that's the athleisure wear motto is just to it looks cool because it is sportswear.
There wasn't a lot of time to get fresh, but if I look back at it, like I could have gotten more fresh than I actually was because like I'm an adult now and I feel like there's less time. Yeah, and I still can be fresh now. So like, how could I not have been fresh then? I was just probably a little lazy.
Yeah, and assuming now you have income too, so you can actually buy stuff.
True. That is very true. They were not paying us. NCAA was not paying us. Just want to let you know.
I mean, hashtag NCAA.
They should pay us.
But yeah, your bio. So like where are you from?
Yeah, I could a quick rundown. I'm originally from Plainfield, New Jersey. I've lived there my entire life until my family moved to California when I went to college. But grew up in Plainfield, New Jersey. Had a lot of friends out there on Putnam Avenue, not too far away from the downtown area. Ended up going to Westfield High School, which is a couple towns over.
Right.
They had a little bit better school system, so we went that way. My mom always wanted to make sure. My mom was always very proper and making sure she wanted to make sure that we always had the best education, no matter what we had to do, even from elementary school. It was just one of those things where a Catholic school, private school, whatever, trying to get into all these things. I remember one time I was 11 or 12 years old, and we were trying to get into Xavier. You know Xavier? Yeah. So Xavier, boarding school. So here we are, a family from Plainfield, New Jersey, not the most high income area. And my mom had bought me a fresh pea coat.
Oh my God.
Got a fresh haircut. Took the train into the city together. Went to this interview for a middle school, or whatever it was. I was 12 years old. And when I got in there, the interviewer thought I was a girl.
Oh, because of the pea coat.
I guess. I was yo, I'm never wearing a pea coat ever again. This is traumatizing. They're all right, you and your daughter could come in. And I was hold up a second. What the hell?
Oh, so it wasn't an all-boys Catholic school? Because Xavier sounds like Jesuit.
No, I don't think Xavier, I mean, I don't know if Xavier was or was not an all-boys Catholic school, but the person who greeted us definitely said, you and your daughter. And I was like, Ma, you made me wear this bum pea coat right now, looking like a girl. But yeah, so she always wanted to make sure we had the best education. Right. Westfield I think still is and was at the time, a really good high school. So I ended up going there, met a group of really good friends, got in with, I guess, the right, what do they call it? The right crowd, even though I still was considered a troubled child but that's beyond the point. And I ended up getting into sports, doing pretty well, and getting a scholarship to go to Rutgers.
Well, track and field, right?
Yeah. Track and field scholarship. I actually just recently got a phone call because I just got into the Hall of Fame of Westfield High School for track and field.
Oh, so. Why? Like, what was your record? Or or did you have were you a captain or something? Or?
Yeah, I was the captain for sure. I have the high school record for the high jump and the triple jump, and I know that may be foreign to some people, but those are field events in track and field, and I've had the record, I guess, now for over 10 years. So It's one of those things. And at the time, like when I first set the record, I was like the best in the county and the state and number 2 in the nation at the time. So it was a big deal. I didn't realize it was a big deal because I'm 17 and I was trying to be the coolest. So like if they told me anything, they could have been like, "Oh man, you're the number 1." Whatever, I would have been like, "Oh, word," like cool,
modest.
Cool. Yeah, like you can call it modesty. I was just trying to be too cool for everybody. Like, especially when so the morning announcements. You know how you have the morning announcements on at your school.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Right? Classic.
So every morning you would hear me like on there, like, "Oh, good morning, Westfield. Like it's me, the kid not from Westfield, out here to kick it to you so that you can start your morning off right." By the way, I also just jumped 7'1" and just set the school record. Like people probably thought I was the most egotistical, conceited person.
Well, the funny thing is like Westfield knows you don't live there.
Yeah, eventually they found out,
But they can't do anything. It's like, okay, we're gonna essentially fire our star track player.
Yeah, like it was, and I played football and I played a couple other, I was doing everything. I was trying to do the most. So that was fun. So thank you, Westfield High School, for actually bringing me into the Hall of Fame. Like that was pretty dope. I hope this doesn't stop you from putting me there now, knowing that that I'm not from there.
Well, you graduated there. I mean, you're still a student there. I mean, that's what I think. That's probably the no one's going to litigate that fact. I feel like it's a dumb thing to actually. I take that back. There's always someone in the room,
somebody
who's going to be like, but he wasn't really, and that's a whole podcast in its own right.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be from Westfield as opposed to Plainfield?
Right. So,
do they actually border, or is it like 2 towns over?
It's 2 towns over, or it's a couple towns over. But all in that area, in the suburb, in that like area, like all the towns kind of all are just within a mile or 2 are away from each other. Like nothing is too far. You just got to deal with that aspect of it. But it's like its own little, it's like its own little community or neighborhood of people like from all the towns. They all kind of like intermingle and stuff like that. So it was cool. So I was doing good sports. Went to Rutgers. Graduated. Started working.
Oh, what was your degree and what did you study?
I originally wanted to be a business major. I thought I was going to be Bergo Enterprises. It's still on the way, but at the time I thought it was something that I could do right away.
The Bergo Company.
Right, and I was going to do everything. I was going to be a hip-hop artist, producer, owner of like multiple buildings that I didn't know what they did, but they would be my buildings. Like, just all the stuff that that I learned, like, that I thought was adulthood and business. I was like, oh, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur.
I think we call it now influencer, right?
Right, influencer.
It's like, I've got my own little like line of clothing.
Yeah, I was gonna have everything except on the top of a building, and so I wanted to be a business major. I went into school. Transitions are tough, especially as an athlete. I might not have done the best in school for my first like year and a half there, so I had to kind of get my act together, and I actually wasn't able to get into the major that I wanted to get into. So
what was the major that you wanted to get into?
I wanted to business economics and go into the business school because I thought that was like a cool thing to do, but they kept me out, but they kept me out, but they couldn't hold me down. So I went to go a different major, a different route. Still got my business classes in. I graduated with a sports management degree, and I guess a double major in labor relations, which was more like employment law and stuff like that. But I always made sure that my classes were around like making money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like making sure that like I was taking the marketing classes, I was taking the business classes, that all economics, macroeconomics, econometrics, things like that, just so I can understand like how you make money in the world, to be honest, not even just America, just in the world, and how that flow of money happens. So that was the main goal. I think that it was a success, even though I wasn't a business major. I still had many accolades as an athlete, which was still a good time, and I feel like my whole college experience as a whole was pretty dope. So, and I came out a better man, you know,
Right.
at the end of the day. And no debt. Like, what?
God. State
Everyone's out
school.
here with debt. Like, I got no debt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to brag, but that was it was a beautiful thing not to have debt. Like,
No, I mean, it sounds funny, but I mean, you're hitting like a nerve here. Not with me particularly, but I think in general. I mean, the numbers came out last week, 1.5 trillion.
yeah.
Which is now exceeded mortgage debt, I think.
That's crazy.
Which is like crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, we could do a whole episode about generational conflict between the boomers and the millennials,
That's
and about
insane.
like who owes what money to whom. But like that's a big crisis, I think.
It's a huge crisis. It's a huge crisis. My friends, even friends that I had that didn't even finish college, are still in debt. Like ones that left, like just because they couldn't pay it anymore, like they're in debt too. So definitely blessings for that. Like whenever I think about like the college experience, I'm like, yo, if there's anything that was like the biggest blessing for me was that I could literally go to school for free without having to worry about like coming out of there with thousands of dollars in debt, because that's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. I probably wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night, like in my dorm room or in my house in college, knowing that I had like I would have had to leave. I would have been like, "Yo, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go like get my YouTube degree real quick and and start Bergo Enterprises elsewhere." So
I mean,
I still have a YouTube degree,
right?
by the
Well,
way,
same
but-
here. I mean, like I love YouTube as a medium. I mean, it's a horrific medium in some ways, because if you do literally click on the next video and you keep doing that, you'll get into this like even worse hole than Reddit is.
Oh yeah,
of just like awfulness, either in either direction, either left wing or right wing. It's actually, I think, a little bit like something that I feel like they should manage a little
and
better.
sometimes you don't even need to have wings to go into a hole. Next thing you know, you could be watching the Nature Channel so deep in there that you're just like, yo, I didn't even know that the Ooga Beluga fish lived. like
Ooga Beluga, it's real. Look it up.
It's real.
But no, I mean, like there's like a lot of great channels from essay channels. I mean, like at some point in the future, I would love. I mean, I don't know if YouTube's going to be a thing in the future anyway. I mean, it's interesting to see where media is going.
They got to work that out eventually, but
yeah, well, that crisis too. But just like, I mean, you gotta love the post millennials. They're all like, into Snapchat. Well, Snapchat's old now.
It's called Generation X, right? Post millennials, like
Z.
Z, Generation Z.
Are we in the Greek letters yet? Alpha?
I don't know.
Z. I think it is. Y.
Y?
No, Y.
I thought Y was our.
Sorry, our sound engineer's like waving his hand like Y.
Y.
I don't know if he's like why are we talking about this, or the letter Y.
No, but somebody said that yesterday, because I have a couple friends who are actually still in college, and I have some friends that are still in college, and their mindset is a lot different. I guess that's that post millennial situation that you're talking about.
I mean, there's a future. I mean, we won't be talking about this per se, but there's a future episode I'm definitely doing, and you'll see on social media. I'm going to put an all points bulletin out for young students currently in college from Newark, and what that world is like and what they're thinking about, which is funny because I'm not that old. I graduated college 8 years ago now. Yeah, 8 years ago. And that's not that far away, but it feels like a different world.
Yeah,
like
even more recently, like I graduated more recently, I feel the same way as you.
It's weird.
World.
I think we're still part of the same generation. I think like any younger than you, like maybe 2 or 3 years, at that point, it's really a different generation because they don't know a world without. I still remember Y2K.
Right.
I still remember when going on the computer was like I had to get permission to do that.
Right.
Because that would like, take over the phone line. Right. And my mom was like, you can't take over the phone line because like I'm expecting phone calls.
Right.
Kids, back in the day, if you wanted to get on the internet, that meant you got no phone calls to the house.
I mean,
Crazy.
The stories that you hear will be different, and I don't know if everyone always quite understands it. But I even explaining this story and going back into my bio, my family, my mom was working all the time. Like she had to make sure that there was like food on the table, money in the pockets, so that we could live, right? So with that being said, she wasn't always like around. You know what I'm saying? And being that I lived in Westfield, which was a few towns over, not too far, but a few towns over, a couple stops on the train. But there would be some days I didn't have money for the train, and people would. I feel like when I was explaining this story the other day to a couple of friends, they didn't understand. Like, listen, I had to walk like for an hour and 30 minutes to go from one town to the other town if I didn't have money for the train. Like, I didn't have a bike.
You didn't play the NJ Transit game, did you?
Every once in a while I would, but some days, like, I mean, after a while, you're just like, all right, like, I don't even want to get caught by the NJ Transit today. Like, I don't want to deal with that BS. So, like, you would literally I would either sit on a bench, like, at the football stadium for hours until, like, my mom would get off of work and just, like, mess around and, like, hit rocks with, like, a baseball bat or whatever and just, like, kill my time that way. Or I would do my homework or I would do whatever. But I don't feel like some people understood this because they're like, oh, why don't you just use your cell phone?
Right.
Like, bro, I'm not trying to date myself, but like, cell phones were definitely around. Did I have one at the time? Not at all, you know? So like, I couldn't just call somebody. I had to go to a payphone maybe, but like, I couldn't just sit there and call. So it was like, you know, if my mom was like, yo, are you going to be at the football field? Like, if I had to wait there for 3 hours until she got there, I had to wait there. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause if I left, like, I'm getting a whooping. Like,
Yep.
two, like, she'll have no idea where I was. She'll be like, yo, you told me you were going to be here. And like, I don't know if they even understand like that aspect of like being out of actually for real out of communication with somebody.
I mean, it's really weird because I'm not that young, but I still remember a time where you had to call and coordinate. And then once that plan was set, there was no way of changing it, right? And like now with like texting and messaging and calling, like it's so easy to change times on things.
Yeah.
But like I'm like I can't even remember that world anymore. Like it's just like, oh my God, did we actually like say we would meet at like 10:15 at the corner of this and this?
I can't even like I don't even understand because even like today, I've definitely taken advantage of the fact that you can contact somebody like so quickly and change the plan. Like and I feel like a bandit. Like it's crazy. Like, oh yo, like let's meet at blah blah blah. Oh, this is the best, right? Oh, let's go out in the city on Saturday, like or whatever. And then, you know, Saturday rolls around and you don't really want to go to the city, so you just text them, right?
Yep.
Like that would never have been a thing. Like that would never have been a thing. Like if you did that, like your friends are coming over and they're whipping your ass.
Yep.
I'm sorry. They're like, yo, we were all out in the city. We were waiting for you and you did not
waited
show
for
up.
2 hours.
2 hours. You asshole. I'm sorry, man. For making you wait for 40 minutes. Don't beat me up, please.
So to get back to your bio, so between graduating Rutgers and the beginnings of Black Swan, which I'll call the wilderness years.
Yeah.
What were those wilderness years for you?
In between college and Black Swan.
Yeah.
Well, the wilderness years were kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to get on the circuit for track and field. Going to a bunch of local.
Is that a professional thing you can do?
Yeah, for sure. So like that professional world is a little bit different because it's prize money at that point. You know, it's an Olympic sport, so everything you do is like, okay, I go to this competition, and if I place in these certain areas, like I can get this amount of return back. So like my whole goal was like, if I can get first place, I can get a G. You know,
wow.
Like, you know, so that was kind of like how I was trying to get my rent money for the first, I would say about a year after college. I was still living on campus, like in one of those like crappy off-campus apartments, actually with a good friend of mine. Shout outs to her. She was dope.
New Brunswick?
Yeah, New Brunswick. And so yeah, I was working as a waiter and also like running track, like going to New York City every weekend or going to South Jersey every other weekend and trying to jump for some extra money, like $800 here, $1,000 there, like, or sometimes I'd have a bad day and I'd make no bread and I would go home and cry.
Like, I mean, and you have every right to. I mean, like, to think that to win a race means you get to eat, and like live, in shelter.
It's an interesting situation because, you know, when you have passions, this is also something very interesting, and I think it's something that like we navigate through. And our age, where we are from when we graduated, you graduated 8 years ago, me 5. Like, it's one of those things where it's like when you graduate college, like the door of opportunity opens up for you. And what I mean by that is like you can get a job that pays you decently so that you can live, you know, like pretty well, like right after college, and you can,
especially with Rutgers too, which is like a recognized name. Like I feel bad for people who go to colleges that like you hear for the first time and you're like, that's a real place,
right? Right, exactly.
It's not DeVry, really.
What's a Rutgers?
Yeah, what is a Rutgers?
What is a Rutgers? It's 11:11, everyone, by the way. So just take note of that. But. Yeah, so it's like funny, so you could do all those things. So people always used to ask me, and they ask me still now, like, yo, why are you doing this thing that you're doing? Like, oh, why are you running track right now and making like not that much money when you could just get a job somewhere and do it that way? And
why are you podcasting, Manny, instead of getting an actual job? Yep.
Right, right.
Now.
And at the time, I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, everyone, it's just like kind of now, like everyone's just like, oh, why are you trying to pursue a music situation, a music career, like trying to develop your artistry, and when you could just be spending your time maybe like doing something else that can make you like maybe more money, like get a job in the city where where now like your day goes from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. where then you don't have really any time to create or do anything. granted I'm an entrepreneur right now, so
Yeah.
like it's nice I got the coffee shop, but like it's people still ask those questions. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. So it's like like people don't really understand like pursuing a passion. So here I was at 22, like opportunity to make money like in a job or like keep running track. And I'm gonna be honest, I was weak at the time and I faltered. I was like, you know what, maybe I should stop doing track and field because it's not putting as much bread on the table as I wanted to. So I ended up getting just a regular job selling power tools out of the Home Depot.
It's a job.
It's a job, it's a job. And like anything that I do, I worked really hard at it. And they asked me about a few months in, like, like what are your career paths? Like where would you go if you could like do something? I told them I wanted to like get into marketing and advertising, things like that. I went to college, so I was like, this is the things I can do. I can start a career,
I hate that word so much.
Yeah, I can start a career. So I told them my career goals, and thanks to my manager at the time, Kevin, he was like, all right, cool. So a few months later, I was promoted to their corporate office in their marketing department, and I had to move down to South Carolina, which I like to call. Yeah, go ahead.
No. The reason I'm making a face is like we were just talking on the way here about going to Greenville.
Yeah,
and that's why you were in Greenville. I had no idea that's why you were in Greenville. Wow.
That's why I was in Greenville. That's where I get my my southern trap roots when you hear my music. Now, but no,
I thought trap was okay. This is the widest question I'm probably ever asked.
Yeah,
I thought trap was a Georgia thing, or is that like just a general South?
I think so. Like trap is like could be anywhere. Like you know what I'm saying. Like you can be in Chicago. You can like like in this like trap music, but
jazz could be anywhere too, right? But it's like a New Orleans form. I think.
Right, but I guess everyone says that it really came to fruition in Atlanta. Right?
Okay, right.
Heavy hi-hats, heavy 808 drums. Things that just really got you out of your seat without necessarily having to like the beats were just so heavy, so like bumping that you could just like you're bouncing like I never thought that I could be the one. I never thought that I could get it done. I never thought that I could make the bread. And then you just have like a heavy beat behind it to fill in the gaps, and you're good to go. With a nice little recurring hi-hat. So like it was nice. And it was new, like, and people forget that trap was around when we were in like middle school, like Lil Jon, Juicy J, 3 6 Mafia, like people forget about that type of stuff. I was in middle school, the Catholic school, Holy Trinity, like to the window, to the wall, all the white kids, hey, to the sweat drop down my, and I was sitting there bad as hell, like to the sweat drop down my boop. Like,
so I'm laughing so hard, right? You can't see this. Listeners, but I'm really dying. I'm about to fall on the floor because on Newark FM there are 5 music-based podcasts at least, I think. Something like that. Yeah, at least. And we're starting to become that right now.
Yeah.
Just like another one.
It happens. So
anyway, I highly recommend the other podcasts, by the way. They probably do a better job than we do at talking about music.
Hey, listen, To Be Real with Nova Scotia, Red November. He's great. Like, that's my boy Troy. He's from out here, a great artist. I think Manny, or hopefully if they haven't met, hopefully they meet soon. They do the podcast in the same room. They might as well, like, get together one day and figure out something, because this guy Troy, I'm telling you, man, he's in tune with the culture out here, and he understands what's going on.
And I'm not at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're in tune.
I'm in tune in a different way.
You're
but
in tune. Yeah, you're in tune as well. Like I definitely would not say that, man. Like you understand the climate that we're in the city, and you understand like from maybe a different perspective. Like you grew up, you're still from here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you grew up here, like you understand the city,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Just like he understands the city. So like, it's just two different perspectives, and that's why it would be so dope for y'all to like, to finally come together and meet.
Keep your ears out, listeners. There'll be a crossover episode for sure.
And that would be fire. Yeah. That would definitely be fire. But yeah, so that's trap. Originated down there in Atlanta, and they made it popular,
So how do we get on trap? Oh, Wilderness Year.
So Wilderness Year. So the Wilderness Years, I'm down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm down in South Carolina. It's a great time. I had a job. I was making money now. Like this is the thing. Like this is what's funny is like I moved to South Carolina, and so like I wasn't rich. Like don't get me wrong, but I was making money. Like I thought that was a good. Like I don't have like again no loans, right? I had no girl. Like no kids. So like all this money is going to me, and I'm living in a place where literally
it's like $2 for rent or something.
My rent. My style of living, like or whatever they call it, cost of living, was like $700 for my rent, 2,000 square foot apartment. First of all,
Oh my God.
and I had 3 roommates, but didn't even feel like I had roommates because it was so.
Why
big.
would you even have roommates? Oh, I guess because it's so big.
If the 700 was split, so I guess if everyone paid like their aspects of 700 times 3, whatever that number is, what is that?
2,100.
Yeah. So 2,100 for like, but think about this. I pay 2,100 right now for my 700 square foot apartment. Like,
Yeah.
I was paying 700 for 21. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. It's back. It was backwards. So. And I was making decent money because the it wasn't like they were paying you based on where you were at. Right. So like I was feeling myself, and I kind of feel like I kind of lost track of my self because I'm in an area where like I don't know anybody, so I could be anybody, and B, I was making some money at the time, so I thought I was the man. So it was interesting. It was going out like way too much. But I can't even lie. I was going out a lot. I was doing a lot of things, but that's when I was starting to get into my music like pretty heavy too. Because I was like, okay, like I'm going out a lot. I'm doing all these things, but like I feel like I'm wasting my time, you know. And all my buddies that did music still lived up here, and I'm listening to them sending me stuff like, oh, we just did this track, we just did this track, we just did this track. So I'm like, oh, like I'm missing out on that aspect of my life. So like I was like, let me stop messing around down here and like, you know, acting like I'm balling, you know, when I'm like, you know, like I was literally acting like I was balling. I was going to the club, like buying a booth for the weekend. Like, what kind of like, come on, like, like
that South Carolina booth.
That South Carolina booth, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like $250 to get in to have a section for the night. Like, how do you not do that? Like, I'm looking here, like I'm looking at like Diddy and all them. I'm like, yo, they're doing it. Like, why can't I do it? Like, but then I realized because I'm not Diddy, bro. Like, I was like, it wasn't the way it was. But it was a great time down there. I'm not gonna lie. Greenville, South Carolina taught me a lot about myself. I was down there working, met a lot of good people, a lot of good friends. Had a good time, got into my music heavy. That's when I bought like my first microphone was down there. I bought my first interface down there, and really started making music. And it was definitely Southern influence. I won't get you wrong. There was this guy named Butler Beats, and he used to come by the studio. I would come by, OG Butler, and he used to play me these beats that were literally, I don't know if you know who Zaytoven is. But like,
I'll just nod my head and say yes. I know.
Zaytoven is this producer from Atlanta, or like known in the trap scene, and his piano game is on 100,000. Like the dude can play anything over a beat, and like this guy Butler thought he was like the new Zaytoven, so all of his beats were like dun 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 dun. And I was like, I thought it was the best thing ever.
Wow.
Like, so I was like going down there, and then was trying to make music that way. Still trying to send stuff up here to people up here, and it was a fun time for music, and then fun time for me as well. So
2017 then happens, right? I think that's when you moved back up.
Yeah.
Right?
So 2017, or I guess it was end of 2016. Then happens. I come up for Thanksgiving. My mom is like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to start my next business venture, which is opening up a coffee shop in Newark, New Jersey." Like, you know, and I'm still down there living, doing what I'm doing. I was like, all right, that's cool, Mom. High five. Like, have a good time up there. Like, I hope you guys are super successful. I can't wait to come visit. And then she was like, oh, well, when you come up for Thanksgiving, like, why don't you come check it out? Because she knows, like, I have a little bit of a business background. She's like, oh, check it out. Like, see if you think it's good real estate. Like, if you think it's something that could be worth it. Like, they give me the numbers, things like that. So I go check it out. I'm looking at it. I'm like, you know what? Like, the street was it was dope. Like, there wasn't as many restaurants as there was there now. I think there's only like a few places like Burger Walla. Shout out to Kai.
Yeah, Kai is great.
Yeah, there was the Green Chickpea, and the Hain building wasn't done yet either. Right. So,
I mean, my story with Black Swan was I remember because I had just moved back. I'd spent 3 years in the city, which was amazing. But I like you with Greenville, which is the opposite problem, where the city was so big and so much going on. Yeah, I kind of wanted to return home, and I came back. I was moved into 1180, and I saw the banner go up.
Oh, for the Hain building?
For Black Swan. And it had that really cool design, which I really liked. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, we're finally getting a coffee shop that isn't famous national chain that I won't mention. And I was like, oh my God, finally. Yeah. I mean, we've had coffee places like, the old Italian ones, the Portuguese ones, as well as like, your mom and pop diner coffee places. But we never had what I had in the city, which was like our version of Think,
Right.
or our version of Third Rail. If you're ever on Sullivan Street, I think it's Sullivan. Yes, Sullivan in New York City. There's a place called Third Rail.
Yeah.
Right by NYU. One of the best shots you'll get in the country.
My mom knows Third Rail really well. She used to reference them all the time.
Oh, man, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we can finally have that. But then this is like summer of 2016. And it was like a giant piece of what I thought was going to become vaporware, because it happens a lot in Newark. You get lulled into thinking, oh my God, we're going to have a cool thing. And then it never happens. And that was for a year that banner was up. And
that banner went up literally the second that place was leased. My mom, as bless her heart, such an eager lady, was just like, gotta put the coming soon sign up. I was like, yo. Like, word, like, let's do it. Like, the energy is there. Like, let's put that up. Like,
and it was a good sign. I loved it. The
great
design
sign.
was really good.
A year and a half later, we finally opened up. Like, still not open. Like, it was just, we didn't think, we had thought at the time that like we were like, oh, like coming soon. Like, that's what you do when you buy a space, you put up the coming soon sign, not understanding that.
There are people like Manny wandering around being like, where is this thing? I think it was probably I was definitely not the first customer, but I was there probably the second day.
Yeah,
you guys opened.
you were the first person, one of the first people I remember seeing. Like, it's just the way it is. I actually might have did you come before we opened?
Probably. I think when you're doing like a soft opening.
I feel like I ran into a couple people when we were doing like training and stuff like that. A few people came through the shop. I might have been you. I'm not sure, but
yes, it was me and Sam, because there's a photo. If you go on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, there's a photo of us. I think trying out your cold brew, or there was something, because you guys opened in late spring, early summer.
We opened late summer.
Oh, was it late summer? Was it August? Really?
Yeah, it was. It was July, like the end of June. So I think June 20 something was like the actual. June 23rd, something like that was the actual like anniversary date of opening, but like I think July 1st was like that weekend of like 4th of July, stuff like that.
There's a bit of a running joke between me and Adam. I think he thinks it's a running joke. I don't know. I'll find out right now. Where I think it was like November, I was like saying, "Oh God, you guys have been open for a year already." And I had no sense of time, and I was like, "They've been,"
because the excitement probably you're probably there.
Well, it's another thing. It's not just the excitement. It was the fact that you and your mother, bless her heart, Laura Mashtaler, who we'll talk more about in a second. She was so warm and made me feel like I was part of the furniture in a good way. Like I was there all the time. And for me, it was like, I have had to been going to this place for years. Like, it was like Cheers level of like, I'm Norm. And I come in, everyone's like, hey, Norm. And I'm like, I feel like I belong. I mean, that's what I had been chasing in this city for.
Everybody knows your name. That's what I think every time you walk in. I'm not gonna
Black Swan, the new sitcom. Oh my God.
Gigi, Manny.
Oh, Gigi is amazing. Gigi is one of the baristas there. She's from Vietnam, and she pulls a good shot. And her smile is $1 million. It's great.
$1 million.
And her Insta, if you could find her on, I'll post it in the show notes. She has a great Insta. She does her own art.
Yeah, she's also a local artist, watercolor sketches, things like that. So.
But
she actually did a tattoo for me, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and to your credit, like there's a lot of businesses that come to places, and I don't mean this just in Newark, where they're just there and you don't get the sense of community. And me coming back to Newark was chasing that feeling. And when you guys opened, it made me feel that I had done a right thing in my life for once. Yeah. And I felt good. I felt like I belonged. Yeah. And it was a coffee shop too, and a good one that looked nice on the inside, whose coffee was good. And this is another problem I have, and people know this about me. I'm pretty open with my critiques about things. I'm not going to call out anyone on this show, but I will post like critiques of things that I find annoying or not up to snuff. Yeah. Because I want this city to be better. Yeah.
Especially when it's your own backyard.
Right. And with Black Swan, it was like, not only is it cool looking and I feel at home, but the coffee is good. Yeah. Like you guys do pull a good shot. You do make some great drinks.
Yeah, we're pretty obsessive with that type of stuff.
Which is amazing because I think of you as like your mom obviously was the driving force behind it, but you for quite some time and still are to an extent managing that place, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that because it's a situation where I'm really not that type A of a person.
No, you're not.
And,
No.
And I've been like, I've kind of had to morph my like mindset to be more of a type A person. And it's like so foreign to me. Like a lot of like concepts of type A, like make a checklist, like check it off, you know, like go down like that's so like, that might sound weird to other people, but that's so foreign to me. Cause like typically it's just like no checklist, do it. And then just be dope at doing it, and then you get it done. And if you're not dope at doing it, work harder until you're dope at doing it, type thing. So like with coffee, like that's how I learned. Like my mom always says, like, yo, how did you learn how to make coffee so well, so fast? And like, cause like my mentality was always like an athletic mentality, like shoot 1,000 shots in the gym, and then you become good. Like it's just the way it is. So
well, what I hate about you is you're like disproving my theory. Like my big theory is like, how do people become good at things? It's like through just doing it a lot.
Yeah.
And you seem to have walked in with like no background experience except for like having drunk coffee.
Yeah.
To like being not only good but like super proficient at it, and like competitive. I think competition worthy.
Definitely competition
quality.
worthy. Definitely competition worthy. And to be honest, it takes good mentors, good coaching, all that type of stuff. Like,
wait, who was mentoring you?
My mom, for one, like pushing me to like to read up on YouTube University, right? Just go in there and start learning about that type of stuff. B, Justin from Intelligentsia. He's like he's their rep. So whenever a coffee shop, especially coffee shop opens, typically if you're not roasting your own coffee, you have a primary roaster, and it's their, I don't know if it is their responsibility, but the roaster we had, Intelligentsia and Stereo Coffee, like their main guys did a really good job on coming in and teaching us how to properly make coffee, but then on top of that, understanding like where it's sourced from, the countries, like the taste, the flavor notes, all that stuff. And then secondly, also competition, like the fact that like there could be another coffee shop that comes into the place and could take our spot as the number one, like that definitely lights the fire every day. And then competition within the coffee shop as well. Like we've got some really good baristas, and you know, me being the manager, I kind of want to always be the one a little bit ahead of the curve in that situation. Even if I'm not, I always need to make it seem as if like I am. And by doing that, like I might not be the best taster, but like what I will be is the best this thing, so that you can, you know, comparative balance.
And what I love about you guys is like you do best practices, right? And I this annoys me because I'm people know me as like a sort of amateur mixologist. I write recipes. I do a lot of cocktails. Adam hasn't tried any yet, which drives me nuts.
I got to come by. I'll definitely come by for sure. It's gonna be a great spring and summer.
But like, I think what we share in common is an appreciation for the method, which legitimate coffee shops. No, sorry, legitimate's a bad term. That's a loaded term.
But specialty coffee shops.
Specialty coffee shops that really like the art of coffee. They measure, they weigh. This is the same thing with cocktails. You have to weigh, not weigh, but measure precisely ingredients, because that'll change the cocktail. So when I see someone free pouring, or on the flip side with coffee, when I see someone just like grinding and not weighing the beans, not checking the pressure gauges on the espresso machine, it's like you think you're hot stuff, but you're not really doing anything, because it's not about like pure artistry. It's method, it's technique.
It's definitely method and technique. And to be honest, method and technique, like becoming a master of a craft, is there not an art in that? Did we not watch Kobe Bryant become one of the best basketball players based on how well he was able to understand the game of basketball and learn and finesse it to a point to where, like, you know, he became the greatest basketball player, and now he like has books about and TV shows and movies about how well he was able to master the craft. And I think that there's an art in that. Also, to be honest, you gotta be crazy. Like you gotta be crazy to do this good stuff. Like what's cool about like my family right now, like my stepdad, my mom, and myself, is the fact that, and my brother to an extent, even though he just moved back from California recently, but Obsessive. Like I'm telling you, like my parents are obsessive. Like obsessive.
Yeah, your mom, I've met her several times, and she's
and
she's like, constantly asking, like,
right.
Are you enjoying this? Which like
right.
can be off-putting, like for some people, but I understand what she's trying to do there.
Right. And my stepdad is one of the people, actually one of the drivers, quietly the secret, like the behind the, you know, the don't look at the man behind the curtains type thing, who kind of made sure that the way we made coffee was obsessive. Like we're gonna measure to the 10th, 20th degree to make sure that like everything is super like on point every time, so that you always get the same thing. And that obsessiveness has really, made us really good. Like other specialty coffee will be in there and they're like, oh, you measure in and out, you do all these things. And it's like, yeah, listen, when your stepdad makes when I was in middle school or high school to get onto our internet, like not only did you have to come in and like get the password, then like your VPN or whatever that stuff is got sent to this like database to where my stepdad would then have to log into his like thing, check to make sure that this person was passing security clearance, and then they can get on the internet. Like that's how obsessive we're talking about when it comes to like to people like that. Like, it was tough to bring friends over with that mentality, but it makes a good goddamn cup of coffee.
Yep.
To do it that way. And we also have free Wi-Fi, so come on in and enjoy that.
Yeah, and so I keep, this is kind of an interesting aspect because we've talked about your artistry as a musician. You're also I'm assuming you have a passion still to be an athlete, even if that's not going to be a career choice. And the fact that your day job ish is managing this coffee shop and pulling shots. Where's the tension? Is there a tension actually? And how do you deal with those different aspects of those passions you have? How do you keep them in check but also let them flourish?
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, a juggling act, and if you were to ask my girl, she would say I'm absolutely horrible at it. But the fact of the matter is that you just got to put it into priority. And it's tough because some days you wake up and like your priority wants to be music. Like today it's like I don't want to go down. I don't want to like, and it's, first of all, this is a blessing to have these issues, I guess. But I mean, there is.
Yeah, we're talking like hashtag first world problems.
Yeah, right exactly. Like it's definitely a blessing. Like some people can wake up and don't have a choice, like, or they have a choice, but like they feel like they don't have a choice, so they have to go out and like do it the way they need to do it. Like I'm definitely 100% blessed to be able to be able to wake up every morning and like look at myself and say like, okay, like today we can accomplish this, that, or the next, but the balancing act for sure is something that it takes a skill in itself. But if you keep the priorities straight, like I like to consider it money, right? Like I prioritize it based on money right now. And pretty much always is like, okay, coffee shop is always going to be first and foremost because that is what puts, again, like
the coffee on the table.
The coffee on the table. It puts the food on not only just my table, but my mom's table, you know what I'm saying? And my stepdad's table, my brother's table, and hopefully tables for generations further beyond me. You know what I'm saying? And that's like always first and foremost. And, a lot of times, again, another thing where we talk about passions and people not understanding, it's like, why would you go to work for X amount of dollars when you could be going to work for more X amount of dollars? And it's like, now because that work over there is putting food on my table for right now. And like they actually are taking more off my plate than I can put on, like, taxes and all this other stuff and just time like of being outside. But when you have your own your own business and you're running it, regardless what it is, whether it's like a coffee shop, a podcast, whatever, you're an artist, you're selling your work, like, if that's what puts the food on your table, in my opinion, like go, like do that first, always, never not do that, and then once you kind of got that settled, then you can look at your time again and say, okay, if I only have this much more time, like what else can I do? Like, and to be honest, like the track stuff, it's almost, the athletic stuff is like almost completely out of my brain now. It's sad to think about that because like I'm not even 30 years old, and I maybe at this point in time, if like if I had went down that lane, maybe I could be like in the next Olympics, or maybe I could have been like semi whatever. But like I try not to think about that type of stuff because
No, that's literally like you can go crazy like just one night going through your mind like, oh, that's what I didn't do, right? And that's hard. That's life is full of regrets,
right?
So not let them take over is like
exactly. So I with athletics, and to be honest with you, with athletics, it was tough at the time, like when I was first working, to get it out of my brain. But now I'm so into like doing what I do and so accepting of myself right now that it's like I understand what I'm doing. Like I'm going to work every day. I'm creating a business and creating a structure for a legacy, and then I'm also creating art that is hopefully portraying the development of me and my life and my mental and my personality to kind of bring it all full circle to show like this aspect of culture and life. Like there's not a lot of artistry that like can even portray like outside of like J. Cole, like there's not a lot of artistry that can even portray that, like as he puts it, that middle child syndrome, that the person in between two generations that are like work hard every day regardless, get your hands dirty, like get the money, and this new generation that we just talked about of like people that are just like everything is at their fingertips. So it's like like they're not. I don't want to say they're not working hard, but like it's their style of work hard is different. It's not as like cut my hands up, get them like dirty. Their version of cutting their hands up and getting them dirty and going to work and putting on their bootstraps every day is different than ours. So like we have this weird juxtaposition sometimes of where we're at. I don't know where I'm going. I'm kind of going down a tangent. I feel
No,
like.
but that's fine. You're expressing your philosophy.
Yeah,
basically.
the philosophy, and it's just like we're trying to find a way of where we fit in this realm, and especially like as a young Black person like who grew up in in like Plainfield, New Jersey, which is a little bit lower income, but still like went to a high school that was in like a higher income bracket. It's like,
which is pretty white.
It's very. I mean, the school is like 98% white. Like this. It's just a culture. It's different. It's different culture. So like you wake up every morning in one culture, and then you spend your majority of the day in a different culture. Then you come back.
You're literally code switching each day.
And you pick up different things like from different cultures, and you try to apply them to your life and things like that. But there's this like ambiguity that starts happening on like on what you got to do. And it's actually pretty dope to see a lot of my other people that I went to college with, like navigating that world as well. And just being young, being young, Black, professional, and doing all these like dope, amazing things that like you always wanted to do, like in even in hip hop, like, and in travel, like, when I'm growing up in Plainfield, like we're talking like, oh, we can't wait to fly to wherever, Montego Bay. Like we can't wait to go to the Cayman Islands. We can't wait to do all these things. Like we all thought that was like so far out of reach. Like we thought we had to be millionaires to do the type of stuff.
To do the like Fire Festival?
Yeah. But for real though, like
you're describing Fire Festival.
But to do all these types of things that we thought were super lavish,
right?
Because you only saw the most lavish of people doing them. Like, to be honest, graduate college, you know what I'm saying? Go to school, get yourself a job, start working towards those things. And before 30, you can have all that. And I see all of my counterparts like literally enjoying their life to the fullest. And I feel like that's like where the real freedom is. Right. And we don't always get a chance to shine a light on that aspect of like, yo, this is where the real freedom is. Like not in like this like label generated, like, whatever molded version of whatever they think you're supposed to be as an African-American like youth in this age. But like to actually like the freedom is to be able to make the decision yourself. Right. God gave us free will for a reason, like not to have it taken over by somebody else. So,
well, what I love about this conversation is I think you give me a way to think about Black Swan and because you talk about labels and about like different cultures, and what I love about Black Swan is it is authentically Black, but also doing high-end coffee, which is very much associated with somewhat like gentrified urban culture or suburban culture.
Right.
And what's cool about Black Swan is it merges those two fields seamlessly.
And that's
it's
right
really
in the
seamless.
name. That's right in the name. Like people always say, what is Black Swan? Black Swan, like the Black Swan theory is pretty much in a nutshell trying to explain it's pretty much a paradigm shift. Yeah. Saying that like, if when European explorers were going out, like, and testing out new lands and things like that, this is not funny, but like a white swan was like there was only white swans to them, right? They'd never seen a black swan. They didn't know that it existed, right? So it's white swans, and then like you see your first black swan, and then you're like, okay, it must be rare. Like in a place where there's only white swans, there's a couple black swans. That's crazy. Then as you start exploring and traveling and going out there, you're saying like, oh, there's another black swan, there's another black swan, and then all of a sudden you make it to Australia or New Zealand or whatever, and you go down there and you're like, oh, there's like a whole world of just black swans, and the white swan is actually the rare one, and shifting.
But
that
it's still
paradigm.
A swan.
But it's still a swan.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah,
But it's just to say like, listen, like as not only should you think about having a different way of drinking coffee, but think about the person who's selling you coffee. Like, you don't have to go to Starbucks. It doesn't have to be like the rich white man. No, like offense to anybody, but like it doesn't have to be the rich white man like who owns a business that is good, that has this type of quality. Like Black people, we have such amazing products, such amazing businesses, such amazing resources, you know, and it's just, we just got to shine a light on that even more as well, just to show like these Black swans are just as, I'm not trying to curse, but these Black swans.
No, it's fine. You already did it once, so this episode's getting the red E.
These Black swans are they are just as common as you white swans.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, don't pigeonhole yourself into this box of like, oh, like when I go get my coffee, or when I go get good service, or when I go get, you know, go into a classy establishment, that it's not going to be run by an African American person. That's not the case. My mom never taught me in a million years. People always go like, yo, I was scrubbing floors in my house. My house was dirty as hell. Like, it was not finished. But I'm scrubbing the floors, the dirty floors that will still look dirty after I clean them, on hand and knee with 2 rags and a bucket of water. Like, no mop. You know, like, I'm not mopping the floors. My mom is like, she understands that, like, this is like, it is very important to make sure that people can see that, like, you know, African Americans, like, and like our attention to like this detail is like just our attention to just our communities, like our home, our house, our self, like making sure that we are presented and seen in a good light is like very important to her.
Yeah, but without also losing your identity.
Which
is like
100%.
Again, I keep. You know, this is not a giant commercial for Black Swan. I'm not receiving any money for this.
Right.
But it's just like you walk in there and it's like, it looks great.
Right.
But it has a vibe.
Right.
But it's also its clientele.
Right.
Might as well be the Rainbow Coalition, right? Like, like both class wise, like there are people there who work at Prudential. There are people there who live locally.
Oh man, the demographic of people that come in,
it's pretty insane.
Fill the entire spectrum, from all walks of life, from all nationalities, from all socioeconomic statuses. Everyone is welcome there. It really is a staple for community and of the community. Down there, and it is definitely a watering hole and a place to cultivate, you know, ideas and neighborhood vibes and stuff like that. Like, coffee shops really do, like, I think there's a whole book on like what coffee shops do to the economy, like, or neighborhood or community economics and stuff like that, and how it's almost essential to have this place for people to go feel safe and understand that this is like, you know, a consistent thing in my community. So like, Black Swan, I feel like is definitely really done that and kept the identity for sure. And again, if you could walk into my house at middle school, you would see that same identity of Black Swan, like at 1412 Putnam Ave, you know, like in Plainfield, New Jersey. It was the same thing.
So talking about community, this is like the last subject I want to talk about.
Yeah.
You are part of a community there, the community that I think people would call Halsey Street, which is this sort of, for an analog, if you're not from Newark, it's sort of like the Bleecker Street of Newark, where you have all these kind of interesting businesses. It's not high end, but it's still pretty classy. It's really a really cool place. You're one of, you know, a couple anchor businesses there. I think, you know, Kilkenny's, Burger Walla.
Yeah.
As a person who works there, how do you see Halsey right now? I mean, I think the biggest thing a lot of people notice is how many businesses are empty at the moment, despite it being probably the hottest place in Newark to open a business. How do you what is it like to be there right now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It is definitely in transition for sure. And I, you know, I've seen businesses come in and leave. I've seen places be empty. You know, a lot of it has to do with right now the real estate agents like not having a price that maybe is a little bit too much for people to have their businesses and to have businesses to survive, and that's part of the gentrification, I guess, of the city and as a whole in general. But with that being said, before we get into like that area, I think Halsey Street for sure is definitely, like you said, the Bleecker Street is definitely a staple of the area, of the downtown area outside of like Broad and Market, because everyone knows, or Pod and Market, everybody knows like, you know, Market Street, everyone knows Broad Street, like there's stores there, you know, there's fashion there, there's everything you possibly, bars, everything. The Prudential Center is right down the street. Everything is there at your fingertips. And then there's like this nice little subsection, neighborhood section right off of the street where people can go and just kind of wind down a little bit. And I think the identity of Halsey Street is definitely art and culture. Like you go there, like you would go there. There's galleries on Halsey Street. There's pop-up shops. There's fashion designers. There's everything. So you go there and you get this like nice whiff of culture when you hit there, and it'll be.
But it's not just like they are retail spaces, but they also see themselves as artists in a way that like Dr. J is on Market is not. They don't think of themselves as like a giant artistic outlet, right?
But even there, even Dr. J's, like another place, like a staple on Market Street, there is that's been there forever. But like that's where you go, like if you want to like see like if there's a drop, like let's say there's a shoe drop, or let's say there's like an exclusive deal, or just even street clothing wear as a whole, like those spots are definitely staples there. And as you said, they might not see themselves as that, but like they definitely 100% are that. But yeah, I think what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just talking about like where. So I'm going to make it a little more narrow. This way, it makes more sense. Where is Halsey Street going?
Okay.
Not literally. It goes to Market and then down to Central. I mean, like in a sort of metaphoric sense. Like,
I got you. So where is it going? I think it's definitely going to become like it is going in the direction of like a communal hub, like a watering hole hub, like a place where you can go. And
but is that possible with high rents? I mean, that's kind of why I'm being a little pointed with this.
So that's a different issue, I guess, with like this whole gentrification situation happening in the city, and the proud people of Newark are honestly like they're fighting for sure to hold on to every last thing that like we can hold on to. You know what I'm saying? And it's very important to have these businesses be here and be supported. But they're trying to drive a lot of these places out. Like high rent is like not just a thing for. People always think like, gentrification, like the high rent, it affects the residents, and it does affect the residents for sure, 100%. Like that gets the residents to move and do that and get out of the quote unquote way, I guess. But they do it for the businesses too. Like they'll sit there and say like, okay, here's a rent that you can't afford, and that only like some of the blue chip companies can afford, or like millionaire people can come in and afford, and they try to like fill these businesses with maybe people that have been there for a minute that couldn't get in there, and it really does like kind of drive the neighborhood out. I mean, I'm trying to like phrase this in a way that would make sense, but essentially I feel that Halsey Street, the direction it should be going or is going, is to become a hub for artists, food, culture, and just like community. You go down there, like it's tough. People always say it's tough to walk down Halsey Street and get to where you need to get to without having it be like a 30-minute thing, because you're probably going to run into somebody you meet.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is, because everyone is on that street. And it's interesting to see like Black Swan being one of those lone places, like you said, like Bergo Walla and Kilkenny's like being a staple on the street. It's tough, just be like you're holding it down for the most part. Like to the left and to the right of us, empty stores. So like you're kind of holding it down for your section or for your block, each one. Like you go to Bergo Walla, like left and right, there's kind of empty stores over there too. And so Bergo Walla is holding it down. So we really are the anchors right now to say like, yo, listen, like you guys, everyone can do this. Like let's get together, band together, and like try to fill these vacancies with culture, community, and vibes.
Right. And I think this is probably more of a problem for Bergo Walla, but I think it's going to happen to you guys. How do you stay original when like I've noticed two burger places are going to try to open up, even though there already is one? I don't think there should be monopolies, but it's like it's kind of weird to be like, okay, there's going to be 3 burger places on Halsey, all within like a 5-minute walk of each other. And I imagine maybe another coffee shop will try to open up. And what's your strategy to like be authentic?
Like, that's the and the competition aspect of economics there. There's eventually something that is successful will be imitated. It's just the way it is. People want to try to get on that pie as well. And the idea is to just like, to be honest, take the Steve Jobs approach. Like, don't try to like be better than the other, but more so just be the better version of your own place. So if to keep original at Black Swan, like as long as we keep doing Black Swan, like we'll be good. Like we've got certain standards and certain like set of I guess standards is the only word that I'm looking for right now, that we apply by, that we run business by, and that we make coffee by. And as long as we stick to those things, we should be successful. And if it so happens to be that we have to add a couple new things, or do a couple different maybe off the wall things, like marketing wise, or like even just like opening doors up to more like event opportunity, things like that, like we'll do those things, but we'll do them with the same principles of how we opened it to begin with. Like, you can't just all of a sudden be like, oh, that coffee shop over there is making banana pudding, so now we have to make banana pudding. Right. Nah, like, they can still make banana pudding. Like, don't worry about their banana pudding. Like, can we make banana pudding the way Black Swan knows how to make banana pudding? Mm-hmm. If yes, then hell yeah, make some banana pudding. If no, make something else that like is more original to who you are, more authentic. So, I mean, being that we've been here now for a year and a half and we haven't really changed the menu like that, like, I think that just goes to show that we like, and when we do change the menu or do add something, we add something that is like, that is it, and then we run with that, because we like to do things to this standard, this code, this rag cleaning of the floors. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there was never, like, we still keep it to our own. We still hold our own principles. So I think if every business can do that, like, you'll be fine. And to be honest, I got that mentality from Kai at Burger Walla.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? He always used to say, like, I can't control what other burger places or what other restaurants like open up, and he was like, to a matter of fact, go eat there if you want to eat there. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, that's his whole thing, is like, we do Burger Walla. We have these amazing Walla burgers. We've got Walla lamb, Walla chicken. I
want Walla shrimp to come back
right.
so badly.
But yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. So and there's something there too. Like, that's keeping you there too. Like, is it ever coming back? I don't know. Like,
that's true.
And if it does, you'll be the first one there to get one, And it's like, it just adds this thing, like, no one can do Burger Walla except for Kai and Burger Walla. Like, no one can do Black Swan except for us at Black Swan. And these places will open up, and hopefully there's a way that we all can live in homeostasis, and that it can help bring the block up more than it does put people out. And I know initial views are always a little bit negative, because like when you see like a competitor open up, it's like, how could they do this? And trust me, I fall into that same trap. Oh, why would they ever open up a coffee shop a block away if ours is here, type thing. Mm-hmm. But it's just the way life is. Like, it's never gonna be easy, and you just got to keep doing you, and keep believing that the things that you're doing are right, and like, most likely the success will happen. So, not many changes coming to Black Swan, but there'll definitely be things to keep us moving in the right direction. But for the most part, like, we're just gonna keep being us, and hopefully you'll see the same smiling faces behind the counters.
Nice. Well, this is, I think, a good place to wrap up. I actually want to wrap up with two things here. So the first is, I want to give you an opportunity to just share where people can find your art and what you do. So if you just want to like share what your social media is and stuff like that. Yeah. Or where to find you.
My social media, I don't have a Facebook. I pretty much, I have a Snapchat and all that stuff, but I pretty much exclusively use Instagram and Twitter right now. Twitter is the social media that will never go away. And Instagram is just the hot medium. So you can find me at CEVN, that's 7, my name, my artist name. You can go on there. I do a lot of work with a lot of local artists and people from around my way, which is really cool. I have a SoundCloud as well, and it's just soundcloud.com/CEVN7. And you can go listen to music there. To be honest, I haven't posted much. I do a lot of things in silence with my guys, and we've got another thing, like a set of standards that we like to uphold our music by. So as of recent, we've been doing more stuff, but on SoundCloud you'll find some of our stuff from a couple years ago, and even I think last year you can hear some things. But the music is definitely the passion. It's definitely something that I'm going after big time 2019, and so there'll definitely be some more stuff going up this year. So definitely check that out, give it a follow. And on top of that, I just want to say there's probably some like gaps in the stories of the bio. So there's definitely a lot more to the story, but we only get about 40 minutes of time. So
definitely more than that this episode.
Yeah, this episode a little bit more than 40 minutes. But yeah, definitely find me at CEVN on SoundCloud, same thing. Twitter, same thing. And you can go ahead and follow me there. Sometimes I try to act like I'm a stand-up comedian and try to put funny stuff up there, but it is what it is.
Nice. So the other way we normally end the show is just having you, the guests, share what they're excited about in Newark and
Okay.
Anything that's interesting that you think is coming up.
Okay. What am I excited about in Newark? I'm excited about. I've really just been really excited about this year, this summer 2019, spring 2019, summer 2019. I feel now that I've been in this city for a year and understand like the art and culture scene here, that now I can, it's going to be really dope to dive into a lot of the stuff that happens this summer. So music festivals, Halsey Fest, the Africana Beats festivals. Like I'm really just interested in just diving 100% fully into them, making it a priority to jump into these events that happen inside of the city. Big time. So I'm definitely into that. These podcasts, like that's another big thing. Obviously not trying to kiss ass, but I'm sorry. But
No, fine.
definitely the podcast, because like you guys I think are essential to some of the movements that are happening out here. And I'd say the third thing is just meeting more people. Getting to know more people in the area, even though I feel like I feel like in this past year, like I've definitely met a lot of people, but I didn't get a chance to go deep enough to like let them know like, hey, this is who I am, where I'm from, what I do. Like, where are you from? What do you do? How do you, I think it's been a lot of very surface level stuff. Not many people get a chance to do what we do on a day-to-day mini. So in Newark, I'm just looking forward to like, taking, this amazing new group of people that I've met out here and just exploring the city even further and exploring the culture even further.
Nice. For my thing to share, about 2 weeks ago, I went to the Newark Cocktail Challenge. I got to sit there and watch cocktails be judged, and
nice.
Everyone's favorite Casa de Paco won, which,
yeah.
I mean, there was tough competition, but at the same time, it's not surprising to see them, not only place, but win.
Yeah.
It was run in conjunction with All Points West and the Newark Visitors Bureau. Right. Yeah, and if you go online, I don't have. I'll try to see if I could find a link to it and put it in the show notes. But there, you can look it up online, and there's a lot of great photos from it. I think someone actually videotaped it, and it was just like a really fun night. It was at Clements Place, which was my first time going there.
Yes, I haven't been.
I regret not going earlier. It's kind of beautiful on the inside. It's intimate but large as well, which is really cool with the space. Plus the lighting in the hallways, like this kind of weird blue lighting. I was able to take some great selfies. Not that I take good selfies anyway, but that was a lot of fun. So I just wanted to share that. But that's it for this episode. I want to thank Adam.
Nice, thank you.
And I'm going to put links in the show notes to Black Swan and where you guys can find them and all that stuff.
Very good.
This has been Manny Antunes, host and producer of Pod and Market Podcast, editing and sound engineering by Byphrase. Podcast logo and design provided by Robert Conti. Additional creative input by Samantha Cateas, who also designed our beautiful little cards you see around Newark. Pod intro and outro music by Dan Myler. If you have a subject you would like to hear discussed on the podcast, please email podandmarket@gmail.com or contact the pod through social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And so with this episode, I'm going to end with a quote. It's both to celebrate Adam's Italian heritage, which is something that didn't come up, but a little factoid about him. I'm going to read a quote from one of my favorite Italian philosophers, a guy by the name of Niccolò Machiavelli, probably the most misunderstood philosopher aside from Nietzsche. And it's just sort of this great quote he has. I'm going to do it in the original Florentine dialect and then translate it for you guys. Bisogna adunque essere golpe a conoscere I lacci, il leone a sbigottire I lupi. Coloro che stanno semplicemente in sul leone non se ne intendono. Which basically sort of roughly translates to, thus you should be a fox in order to recognize the traps, and a lion in order to scare away the wolves. Those that wish to be only lions do not understand this. Thank you. See you later.